It's Toronto FC versus DC United live from BMO Field Saturday, 4 p.m. Eastern Time. The match is on Rogers Sportsnet. Play-by-play man Dan Dunleavy right here. Dan, you've been watching DC United the last few weeks. What have you seen from them?
Well, they're a team that certainly is lethal in attack so far with some of the players they have up front. And it might surprise some Toronto FC fans because you look up front, you know that Pontius is a very workmanlike attacker. He fights to win possession of the ball around the 18. He'll take a shot from anywhere on goal. We know what Dwayne DiRosario can do, even though he's not filled the net yet. He does seem to be rounding into form, especially the last game against San Jose. He almost had what I would have characterized as a goal of the year with a bicycle kick attempt. But the guy leading the team in scoring is Maicon Santos, and that'll frustrate a lot of fans that'll sit right over here, of course, on Saturday, the fact that Maicon is leading the club. But the bottom line is this is a team that knows that they're not the best club defensively. I think I would call them, with all due respect, as if we can say average amongst the rest of the MLS teams when you take an average defense. But what they do well from the back line is that they help initiate the attack. Guys like Russell like to get the ball forward. They do love to get involved, and that helps out and takes some of the pressure off the midfielders. And it also, of course, helps out the big three I mentioned up front with Pontius, DiRosario, and Maicon Santos. And you take a look at all three of those guys, and the talk about Maicon Santos always was, how do you get that game out of him every game? And even in D.C., they're talking about the same thing. How do we make sure he keeps up this kind of game intensity? Well, certainly to start the year, he's done that. And I think when you play alongside a guy like Pontius, Dwayne knows him well. He probably knows a little bit how to fuel him, how to get into his ear after playing with him here in Toronto to get the best out of him. So it's a good partnership up front between those three.
And they've been doing it without the presence of their two designated players for much of the season so far.
Yeah, that's a bit of a surprise to many people. But, you know, I think what it does, it indicates and it underlines, again, the fact when we talk about Real Salt Lake, a lot of teams lean on, and you obviously you talk about Thierry Henry and other players who are designated players, David Beckham. They lean on those players to help get them through, like Torsten Frings is leaned upon here. But at the end of the day, it's a team game, and it doesn't matter if you're a DP. Obviously, that skill level helps a club, but Real Salt Lake has proven you play together as a group, you can win. You take a look at other teams like Kansas City, how they're doing this year. I know that these clubs, some of them around the league still have their DPs, but certainly not to the same level of a Torsten Frings or a David Beckham and Thierry Henry. The bottom line is it's 11 guys on the field, and that's what Toronto FC has to harness here, is that you can have Torsten Frings on the pitch, you can have Danny Koevermans on the pitch, but whether they're there or not, you're still 0-7. You have to find a way to win as a group, and that's what DC United has managed to do.
And we'll see on Saturday if Toronto FC can finally get that elusive first win of 2012 MLS season. Dan Dunleavy will be bringing the game to you live, 4 p.m. Eastern Time on Rogers Sportsnet. Take a note of that start time. Some tickets may say 4:30, but it's actually at 4 p.m. Eastern. On Twitter, use TFC Live to join the conversation with Toronto FC fans worldwide. And, of course, visit TorontoFC.ca for all the player and coach interviews leading up to kickoff.